Welcome back. Just run through the 3 selections for Newbury tomorrow. You've forgotten them now, haven't you? Well, mine are definitely unique. The cot is mine.
Revet, the one we spoke about in the 130.
Yeah.
Lemuel each way in the 240, and Conagry in the 205.
We can agree because we both agreed on that one. Conagry tomorrow, probably the best bet, I think.
Probably on what is a tricky day with ground and absences and wind. It's not all about tomorrow. Enjoy the sport and don't get too involved.
Yeah, maybe tomorrow though on that 20-1 or Conagry. What I wanted to do is just to talk about racing in general and obviously get you involved in racing in general. As an outsider looking in, what's your impression of racing, horse racing? What do you think of it? How can it be uncomplicated? How can it make it more appealing, do you think?
That's a very good question. First of all, like you touched on prices, maybe, I don't know, sometimes dress code, things like that. If you can't just be you and it stops you from going.
What do you think about all the concerts they add on? Do you know the concerts and stuff? Do you think that's really good in the summer?
Really, really good, because also people could be like, that's my favourite band. Brilliant. Even if they're not that keen on horse racing, just to get them through.
But do you think the problem is they go to the band late at night, they get drunk, they've missed the racing, and they don't really take much note of the racing?
Probably. So then maybe you need to cater for that and do something during the day, something maybe aimed at that market. I don't know, maybe some kind of fun fair thing.
Is it seen from your perspective, and I'm going to ask you the same question in a minute, you know, like the corner streets with the bookmakers and stuff like that, is that your feeling in your head? And also in relation to the horses, I mean, do you think the horse racing comes across well to the outsider looking in? I mean, obviously it's a very complicated sport, but do you know what I mean?
When you say come across well, I think it comes across, but then it depends, because like sometimes you get the pictures in the press with like Ladies' Day and stuff can look a little bit with the types they do. It's the way sometimes the press can report horse racing either too stuffy, or then the other thing we think, oh well, I can't take my kids to that, or there's no kind of
middle ground. There's never good news about racing. But whereas football's covered day in, day out, with racing it does like to cover
one or the other. It's very black and white.
Yeah, and it does like to cover the negative story. And we saw a headline in the Mirror, didn't we? Not so long ago with the horse at the front.
Well, that was disgusting.
Yeah,
that was disgusting.
But there's always bad media associated with horse racing. But what can it do to, I mean, in your view, because you're closely associated with Newbury and other stuff, and they've done quite a lot of work, but because the sport is day in, day out, is it too much? Is it too saturated?
I'm just worried that I just hope it's not too late. I mean, you know, for years it seemed, when I got into racing, people were aware of the problems, but nothing was being done. And then Racing for Change was invented, and that's what they seem to be racing for now, change. I mean, the prize money's come completely down. Racing is a complicated sport. I mean, for the job I do as a read and form, I mean, it is a full job. It's a way of life. It's an enjoyment. How do we attract that? I mean, when I have worked at Newbury, these concerts, if Racing for Change isn't working, if when I leave horse racing, because I don't want to watch Spice Girls or whoever's on, and then they're all coming in, the youngsters are coming in, how do we stop that?
You actually touched on something then with, you know, when placing your bets, it could be the name, it could be, you don't need to know the form inside out. People aren't going to look at you weirdly if you go for a fun name, or you just close your eyes.
Because what attracts me to anyone new to the sport we had a big get-together, everyone went to Ascot, and a lot of people didn't understand the horse racing, but they would ask me for advice, and often give them a loser. But the more important thing is they were getting excited by watching the sport, and just, you know, watching the one they picked in front, and then what happened, whatever, and that's the exciting thing. And I don't think the sport captures that enough. It can be as exciting, if you put your own 5 or 10 on a horse, it can be as exciting as going to a football game, because it's your money, you're watching it, but the sport does not capture it. And to me, it's living in the dark ages. In the terms of 70s and 80s, I don't think the sport has progressed at all. It's become quite stuffy. It's become quite, you know, the same generation of people that were there then are here now. I mean, let me ask you a question. In terms of betting shops, would you go in and shop and place a bet, and would you do the same?
No, I don't. I haven't used betting shops for a long time because I've got other facilities to do so, and also I obviously have all the racing channels I need at home. But that's
Including a bit of Racing Nation,
that's,
of
you know, I'm a professional. I mean, I don't think we have to be so serious about racing. Not everyone wants to, you know, to be like me, and people don't want to kind of hear it. I think people are happy to go to the races, like you said, pick a name or.
But would you go into a betting shop, in your corner betting shop, and place a bet, or would you get your partner to do it, or would you get a family member to do it? Grand National Day, would you go in there and do it?
That's quite interesting, actually. I wouldn't go in on my own. My other half would come in with me, and I think that's just because I feel a little bit like. Do you know what? There's not many women that go into a betting shop, so I feel a bit like, oh.
And there's the machines there intimidate you a little bit, and you go, oh, people in there smashing machines up.
My days in betting shops in Birmingham, what I used to notice if a girl did come in, everyone would go, she must know something. What does she know?
Funny you should say that. Very quickly, it's a very story to tell. I was in Fulham Road, I won't name the branch, but there was two real posh women that came in, and they went to the counter and they said, "Oh, can we place a bet on Prince William's name of their child?" And I'm sort of listening here. I'm thinking, oh, whatever.
They must know.
They must know. And it's 8-1. I was thinking, well, I'll have a bit of that. It wasn't true at all. Oh, you know what I mean? It was like, made me thinking. Yeah. But in terms of the shop, like you said, so it's like, for you, it's like, a no-go.
Yeah, it's not. It's probably, 90% of men? It's not approachable at all. So I'd go with my other half. I wouldn't go. And
what about race courses itself? I mean, that's more of a... do you see that as a leisure activity, a recreational activity, as a drinking day out, or do you go for the horse racing, or would you go for the concerts?
I'd probably go for the horse racing and the drinking, that kind of aspect.
Yeah.
But again, not enough people know that you can just go and enjoy it, and the stuffiness. It's
definitely there.
A little bit like
and
that.
Also, when we talk about handicap marks, I mean, people that don't understand racing. I mean, I've got a lot of friends that follow me and they're into their football and stuff. They watch the racing and go, I watch it, but I don't understand what you're talking about. And that's very complicated as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
I suppose there's not a way to overcome that. You know, when we talk about handicap marks and we talk about novice chases, it's quite... It's difficult to change, though, isn't it?
It's very, very complicated. But I don't think there's enough education out there. I don't see many courses. I remember one example. I was at Sandown one day, and this was after race, and they actually had someone doing private handicap. It was a great big hall, and I thought, I'm going to stay around after the last race, because before racing, people get there, before, void traffic, they have a look at these things. How many would stay around after they've done their money? I could not get in the hall. There was hundreds of people in there, and I thought to myself, see, there is a market for it. People do want to learn, I think, how to bet their chance.
Is it more like, well, I'm going to turn my £10 into £50, that's why I'm listening to you?
Probably, but also you don't want to dumb the sport down either. There is that fine line with, you're talking about, novices and this and that people don't understand. You don't want to then go the extreme way and dumb it down, because it is a great sport. And
I think it's the stigma behind the word gambling, isn't it? Betting,
exactly.
The problem gambling. But there's problems in everything. Some people can drink and not have a problem with it, but it's a social. Some people can't take drugs, and some people can't gamble. They just go mad. But so if you want to have a bet,
and that's the problem with horse racing to a degree. So if you say you love horse racing, people automatically think you're an addictive gambler.
Bit of a gambler,
Anyway, that is it.